Hello, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Submitted for Your Approval, our weekly card review show for Collective, the community-created card game where you make the cards. I'm joined today for our last final week of Double Extravaganza. As always, I have my regular panelist empty folder.
Everyone.
We have a returning guest and a new guest. Our returning guest this time is Shadowknight, the realm admin for Carachar.
Hello.
And our new guest this time is somebody we've been wanting to have on the show for a long time. He's actually an alpha player and the realm admin for the Seal of Elementary, NitroMelon.
Hey, everyone.
And so without any further ado, let's get straight into it with the High Value Target. High Value Target is a 5-drop spirit action from Swiatlo with create 2 Cactus Spiked Assassins. And this costs 1 less if your opponent has the highest HP unit. A Cactus Spiked Assassin is a 3-drop Spirit 1/3 with Duelist and Deadly. So, one thing I thought was interesting about this was the flavor is just so weird. So, like, the Daylings have this tribal society. And we see not only do they apparently take out hits on things, but they have assassins. And so the flavor was just so weird to me. And that just stuck out to me as like, I don't know. But the effect is really interesting. And this is actually really, really powerful removal for Spirit. Potentially you could 4-for-1 if you're playing against an opponent that's got a bunch of like cheap 1/1 units. Empty, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I agree with you that it's very strong. The weird thing is it has like anti-dot synergy, like, because you want this to cost 4 mana, because at 4 this is pretty insane. Mm-hmm. At 5 it's still like quite good, but it's not at the same level. Mm-hmm. So you really want to be playing this in a deck where you're not going to have the highest HP unit most of the time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so, I don't know, the package is really interesting. I mean, Dot's already not in a bad place, or not in a great place. Shadow, what do you think of it?
So this is the spirit equivalent of Hunting Party, which I don't know if Hunting Party is much played. That creates 3 1/2 Doomwalkers.
Frenzy Agile.
Frenzy Agile, yep. So Duelist Deadlies, I feel much better effect, plus you get a better stat line, plus the Hunting Party ability to trigger it for 1 mana less is very weird in the sense that it's if you have no units in play and you want to be playing in an Ashgurdy Swarm deck. So I always found that particular thing a weird thing. I felt it would be more interesting if it was like if you dealt damage this turn, this costs 1 less or something. Like that would make much more sense. And similarly, as Empty said, this is weird because you most likely want to be playing this in the deck, and this doesn't really work with their we like big HP stuff. You could play this in Bullock, but also the Duelist Deadly part is a little weird for Bullock because they want to be attacking with all their units. Deadly, I guess, helps with that, but mainly you'll be using these units as a removal spell. And then this can slot into Ore. It's a 4 mana, make 2 units. So
I think personally that I think this does have a home in Bullock. I gotta disagree with you because this lets it get rid of things that could be potentially problematic for the Swarm to deal with. Get rid of the bigger units that can tank a lot of hits, the high value lifebound targets, stuff like that. High value target. Nitro, what do you think of this?
I don't know. I'm gonna disagree with you on that one. I don't think it finds a home immediately. I think maybe later on down in the line, if it does like get updated to be like just 4 mana off the board, because they actually wanted to do that. They wanted to update it so it can be like 4 mana, like straight up. But for me, I just don't because Bullock is more, because Bullock still has the undead package. It's still it still does. And now they have Skeletal Swordsman, which kind of serves the same purpose of killing units. This can kill higher units, but but I just don't see where this can
This
get a
is
home, you know?
way pushed and way powerful as is. So look at Sally Says a Lot, which is way worse than this token, and for 4 you're getting 2 of them. If you get the reduction, that's way too much. I don't know. It's an interesting card in an awkward place, and it'll be interesting to see where it ends up going.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
So the Mortemockery Ooze, another good Spike Bear design. It is a 3-drop spirit exclusive 2/4 ooze from nowhere in particular, with whenever another allied unit dies, give this unit the dying unit's entomb abilities if possible. So this is fun. I really like oozes flavorfully. I really like this particular ooze. It reminds me of Necrotic Ooze kind of in Magic, but it's playing with one particular kind of ability it mimics. Instead of actives, it's entombs. This is really cute. Empty, why did you pick this card?
I think it's an interesting card. I think it also like has a few problems like blocking wise and just with the way effects are handled in the game that I wanted to bring up. But I really like the idea. The issue is that like certain entombs are like the one that was brought up is Lizatep student that has summon an entomb, gain 1 XP, and those are listed together. So when it dies, the ooze doesn't get the correct text; it just gets nothing because it basically has a hidden entomb on top of a summon.
Oh yeah.
And then obviously for entombs that are like number or like they're variable based, which we don't really have too many. I guess like a starving skinworm entomb or something like that.
Yeah.
This like it wouldn't work with this. But yeah, I think it's pretty interesting.
And this is obviously a really fun Marie design in particular, because if you can get to her big finale.
Well, the thing is, it doesn't really work that well with Marie because it loses it's not permanent. It loses the entombs when it dies. So like if this hits your graveyard, you can't use your Marie active on it. It won't do anything.
Well, but if you get to House of Zombie, it'll still double proc them on that death.
That is true.
And another possibility, a lot of people don't think of this, there's weird stuff you can do with Massive Many that can freeze temporary abilities in place. So you can actually create something that permanently has all those entombs.
Oh yeah, I think Mass is great with this because at the bare minimum, like you double up on the entombs. Like if you have 3 entombs guys in this out, you play Mass on them. This gets 3 entombs, and then when the Mass unit dies, it gets the 3 again.
Mm-hmm. And so yeah, this is potential shenanigans. Nitro, what do you think of this?
Oh, I love this card. This card's great. I really wish it was permanent and people and like Spikeberg was like this doesn't work with Marie and whatever, but like I like it a lot. I think it's gonna be at least if it isn't a meta card, it's going to be a really fun card to see what jank we can do with. And
yeah,
so we need better entombs. Like we don't have that many good entombs in rotation or ever actually. But if we could get some better entombs, I think this could see a lot more play than it does now. Especially if we get something like Sylvanas entomb, which is like take control of a random enemy unit. But that's taking it too far.
Shadow, what do you think of it?
Effects like these just kind of scare me. Just because potential and just like breaking of design space and things. I mean, just look at King of Tall Tales, which gains all abilities and kind of screws up a lot of stuff. Also, the fact that this text box just becomes an eyesore to look at, it always annoys me, but that's besides the point.
Unlike King of Tall Tales, this one makes you play fair. You actually have to play the units, and then the units have to die.
Yeah,
And
and
that's
at
one
least
thing I like
this has
about
to be in
this.
play also, so yeah, it's not as bad. It's not like, oh, you play this and it gains the entombs of every unit that you have in your graveyard. So at least it doesn't have an effect like that. So,
Yeah.
but
So now for the Thought Suppressor. Oh boy, this was from the Hate Bears Jam. Thought Suppressor is a 2-drop mine, 2/3 draw log from Terra 4891. Whenever a player draws a card, they lose 1 mana this turn. We've talked about this before on the show, didn't we?
Yeah, but that time it was in the submitted, and now it's actually in.
now it's in the
Yeah,
game.
and this is gross. What did you had something you wanted to add, Shadow?
I chose it just because it was the only card that made it from the Architect Completionist for that week, so I kind of
Yeah, and there were
giving
like
them
3 on midweek. That was interesting.
Yeah, so I always like giving them a shout out. I know this week we took a week off. People were getting a little tired of making cards. / I don't think they really liked any of the particular submissions for that week, so we took a week off. But this is very scary because it doesn't say when a player draws a card outside of their draw phase or beginning of turn or whatever. So it means that players will always have 1 less mana, which is great for aggressive decks, which we need more of. So I like it for that. And then also it works into the draw logs because you put crappy cards into their decks that have abilities that when you draw them, you draw again.
Yeah.
So they'll lose all their mana and not be able to play any of their cards. And that can happen as early as like turn 3. So that's cool, I guess.
Yeah, and there's already a couple people who've been talking about like combos with the Heckling Howler and Whims of Fate and just doing a bunch of really, really ugly card manipulation stuff, and this is just icing on the cake. Melon, you got anything to add?
I think most of the stuff that was about the card was said. I just think it's really scary, and with Howling Heckler also in the game, oof, that's gonna be some weeks.
Yeah, they're worth running together, even though they're in different affinities. That is. Whew. And for our last one, so guys, we did it. Bio Brilliance got in the game. I am so happy. I was overjoyed. But interestingly enough, Apra wanted to go along and submit this other effect, Clonify, and they both got in on the same week. Clonify is a 1-drop spirit action from nowhere in particular with choose a non-clone unit in play its mana cost to create a clone copy. Nitro, why did you want to talk about this card?
I mostly wanted to talk about it because about the whole effects of what was it, of Bio Brilliant and Clonify and maybe even Duogenesis. Because they're all mostly in the same mana slot. While Clonify takes a bit more to actually clone things. I just kind of wanted to compare them. Clonify would be more better for smaller units, such as what was it? Such as like small units, but Bio Brilliant. But then after that, it's just Bio Brilliance. You just use Bio Brilliance. So I'm not sure. I'm just not sure to say where this line is of you wanting to copy something to Clonify or copy something with Bio Brilliance.
Well, one of the obvious ones is actually that Clonify, unlike Bio Brilliance, can hit opponent units. And so with some cleverness, you can actually use this to get opponent stuff earlier than Grovenel could, which Grovenel is the other big opponent unit copying thing. And lets you do some really fun shenanigans from there. I don't know. I think they both have their place in the game as a baseline, this being the fairer one. I don't think it'll see as much play as Bio Brilliance because most of the time you want to be able to do your game plan, which means copying your own cards. But I've definitely seen successful uses of a clone effect that borrow your opponent's game plan. What do you think of this, Empty?
I think the reason you run this over Biobrilliance is when you're cloning like really small stuff, like in the 1 to 2 mana range. And if you have a deck where like maybe you have some really important unit, like maybe a Pumpkinkin or something that you like absolutely have to have out. And with Pumpkinkin in particular, I guess you could run both because it would be 4 mana in both cases. But let's take like Thought Suppressor as an example. Maybe in a Thought Suppressor deck, you want to run Clonify so that you can get 2 of them onto the field, and your opponent's losing double mana when they hit those traps. Or like in Dot, you can use this to hit Bip and Bob for 3 mana and get another copy. And that makes it like a lot harder for action decks to deal with.
Shadow, you got anything else?
I always bring up Orange just because it's one of my favorite decks to play. And currently they have 6 1-mana make token things. So having another 3 kind of those effects, especially since a lot of people are playing Ring the Bell, so you can just copy their Hungry Beggars. Even, I mean, 1-mana 1/1 is not the greatest, but I mean it is another thing for your ore that is an early play that you can make before you go off on turn 4.
So yeah, let's get into the meat of the show with the new submissions. Starting with Grandpa Sleepy. Grandpa Sleepy is a 5-drop strength 4/6 wax giant from Lux. Whenever you play an action that targets an allied unit, he remembers it, and you can entomb to recall all his memories to hand. So I absolutely love what Lux has been doing with this new archetype. I think it'll be great, and I think we need this card in. Of course, it's a rare, so it's not going to do. It's always in a risky position, but the art is beautiful. The effect is beautiful. I mean, let the theory crafting begin, basically. Empty, what do you think about it?
I love the design. I think this thing's incredibly weak. The problem is you're playing this turn 5, and you're playing this in an equipment deck because you have to play actions that target your allied units. By turn 5 in equipment deck, you usually have run out of equipment by then, or you're like chaining off with Arms Master. And if you're chaining off with Arms Master, you don't need this. The other thing is this has to die in order for you to get the stuff back. This is a 5-mana card, and it's a 4/6. So it's kind of hard to actually get this killed most of the time. And a lot of the time, you don't really want your 5-drop to, you don't want to like self-sack it to get the stuff back. And then if your opponent removes this immediately, well then you didn't, like, you're not getting any additional benefit because you haven't targeted anything yet.
Yeah, so what cost do you think would be like the lowest fair cost, supposing it was statted accordingly?
Probably like 4 or 3. Honestly, like if you compare this to Arms Master, I think it could be 3. Because drawing a card immediately off Arms Master is a lot better than getting the card you just played back after the unit dies.
Yeah. And it's easier to
small,
control.
Empty. We got infinite combos here.
What infinite combo?
Yes, we got infinite combos here. We got Shaw's Wager. You bloodletter some things. You get all this mana. You make more things. And boom, you get Vanishing Axe some stuff. And you just get so many things going. You play this in KM and you can make some really crazy stuff.
I'm trying to think. So for Shaw's Wager, does that
I'm trying to think how it would trigger also, if it would trigger exactly correctly.
Yeah, that's
so yeah, with Bloodletter, Shaw's Wager, but then you're like breaking even because Shaw's Wager costs 2 off Affinity.
But you're playing KM, so you.
Yeah, but if you're playing but the other way, like let's say your Spirit, Bloodletter costs 1, Shaw's Wager costs 1, you're still breaking even. So you'd need 2 Bloodletters.
Yeah.
So okay, maybe it shouldn't cost 3 because Like at 3, that combo actually seems like something you could pull off pretty early. But I do still think at 5 it's a bit weak.
Mm.
Yeah,
So
3.
you're saying it's 4. So you're saying 4 mana.
I mean, you can do a glowstone mine, drop this on turn 2, and then go off on turn 3 before you actually become anything in KM. So you don't have the.
That okay, that seems like
We're entering the magical Christmas land, but it's
Yes.
fun. It's a fun place to live in, everyone.
What do you think, Nitro?
I like the card. It would be a rare our rare for the week, which is a thing to take note of. It reminds me of the one legendary what was his name, Kragwa, where they would do this last turn and it would be for every spell played, and that didn't see any play, and that was 6 mana. So I don't think this one's gonna see play with that either. So
Yeah, so maybe after some tuning.
I feel like there's a way we could get this set uncommon. Like, we're using lots of big words like with remembers and stuff that we could switch into other things that.
Oh, definitely. I agree with you there. Yeah.
Yeah, allied unit can be cut down to ally. I know that much.
If
Oh no, because that also includes the player.
Well, whatever. I don't know if there's enough things that target the player that would make much of a difference for that.
Yeah.
Okay, the Grumpy Kodiak is a 4-drop strength 3/4 bear from nowhere in particular with amazing art by Entropic Mage, with Overrun, Frenzy 2, and Rage Game Duelist. This is really, really interesting because all 3 of the effects are trying to do, well, Overrun and Frenzy work. Overrun and the Rage don't. Frenzy and the Rage don't. I feel like this is kind of like that the Sesame Street, one of these things is not like the other one. Right? Because Overrun Frenzy works, but if you want this to duel, dueling is specifically for things that don't have Overrun or Frenzy. And so this is just pushed in a couple weird directions. But I like the art. I like the basis of the design. I just think it needs a little bit of a fix. Nitro, what do you think?
This is a weird card. This card is trying to fit so many niches that you could do with other cards, such as Rogue Shredder or what is it? Like
one of the pouncers, either pouncer.
Pouncer, anything. It's confusing. It's very confusing, is what I like to say, and I sound very confused because I am. But yeah, if this could get a fix, like if the rage trigger could be like something else, I'm not sure what it would be, but I think this could be at least a decent card in the same slot as like Rogue Shredder, for example.
Yeah. Shadow, what do you think?
I wanted to lose the rage and be a 5/3. That's I would play that card.
Ooh, that is scary though.
So like something like aggressive Oni, for example, something like that.
Yeah. It's just struggling for a niche. Empty, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a weird card because like a 4-mana 3/4 with Overrun and Frenzy 2 isn't very good, and a 4-mana 3/4 with Duelist isn't very good. And like the two don't really work together, so you kind of have to choose which one you're getting, and then you don't like get Duelist until it gets hit, which it might die on that first hit if you're attacking with it. I do like the art. The art looks really nice.
And I will say, I understand the flavor right away. Like the idea of this being a bear that is just really, really angry and wants to smash face and cause problems. That comes through very, very clear with this text box. It's just mechanically, it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, another problem is it's in the 4-drop strength unit slot, which is now very full of units after Sam got it.
That is very contested, yeah.
Yeah. So, the Lich Throne Usurper, another great artist with designs that are a little questionable sometimes, but that's okay. Lich Throne Usurper is a 2-drop Spirit 2/1 Undead Arcanist with fantastic art by Frank Tastico. With your undead units have Entomb, deal 1 damage to your opponent, and Entomb, return to play without this Entomb. So this is the Shinbone Rider. I think this is really, really fun. It gives, this is definitely one of the more cohesive designs. A lot of people I know were talking about this on the Card Labs. It's at the 2-drop slot, so you could run it with Unburial Sight in Baluk. And this helps penalize your opponent for wiping your dudes. And that gives aggro, I feel a much needed push. And I think this could potentially be really interesting. What do you think, Shadowknight?
Well, I did give this enough vote. It does scare me. I also saw it was like 30 different Entomb effects, so it was very interesting seeing the just design process of this card, which was fun in the labs, because that's always a cool thing to see. Yeah, just the fact that so many undead just have like recursive things that you might be able to just get like a lot of damage, like just by like sacrificing things and recurring them. It would be a weird amalgam deck. I mean, I run a Bullock deck that runs Sanguine Ritual. So if I wanted to go an undead route with that, this would be very strong and could replace the Crimson Dancer spot currently. So that then you can just play this instead and do 20 damage by playing Sanguine Ritual and sacrificing your entire board, which is crazy.
I would have to see how it interacts in particular with Grave Rave, because that could be fun. Just pop off a whole lot of Entomb effects. Maybe Mortemockery Ooze, since it's in. There's a lot of fun potential synergies. Empty, what do you think?
Oh yeah, this card is absolutely insane. So, let's say you're running no undead, none. This is still playable and actually really good still. Like a 2-mana 2/1 that comes back when it dies and deals 2 damage to your opponent, because it's Entomb, it applies to itself and it triggers both times. That's already insane. And then on top of that, like, it works with all your undead. So you create this situation for your opponent where, like, okay, if I block their units, they're going to still damage me and I'm going to die. And if I don't block their units, they're going to hit me and I'm going to die. And then, of course, it's 2 mana, so you can bring this back with Unburial Sight over and over again. It's just ridiculous. And, like, it synergizes so well with the undead package, especially Vigorous Maw, because every turn that's going to be dying, you're going to be getting that back. Oh my god. This card terrifies me. I do not want to see this in the game.
Nitro, what do you think?
Oh, this card is so broken. Oh man. And as we didn't need any more broken undead, man. Oh my god, what a card.
I'm not sure how good Bullock's currently doing on the leaderboard.
Well,
Once again,
people
leaderboard
say that
doesn't
it
mean
doesn't
anything.
matter because everyone's always kidding against him, and that's the only reason he's not dominating. Because he's so easy to shut down. You just shut him down with just 1 or 2 cards you run against him. Although I do think some update to Vigorous Maw should have happened. Really sad that it didn't. And I'm a guy who loves the Undead Baluk deck and plays single player. But I know a lot of people were really kind of heartbroken about that. So,
just one last thing. Push for more Cleansing Flame effects, people.
Oh yeah, definitely. That would be very great for the game.
Yeah. And on an unrelated note, upvote the Slayer updates, guys. Oh. Hyperactive Quasar is a 1-drop neutral action from nowhere in particular, with a really old art from Kush Grandma, so it's been sitting on the art sheet for a long time. Draw a card at the end of the turn. If this is in your hand, this deals 2 damage to you and make a copy of this. So this is a really, really interesting self-damage deck filter draw thingy that can also give you a lot of discard fodder. And I don't know if I should be scared of this. Empty, why did you pick this?
I picked it because I think it's like a really, really interesting design. I really like the idea of
Definitely.
like this card that does, it's like this risk reward sort of thing while it's sitting in your hand. The problem with this current version is that the risk is really low and the reward is like really, really high. Because taking 2 damage and paying 1 mana to draw a card, that's like a deal that you would almost always take. That's really good. And getting that every turn is amazing, especially in decks like Action Spam. They're going to be able to take advantage of playing additional actions every turn. I think if like the numbers were tweaked around a bit, it could be like a really solid card, but I think the current version is just a bit too push.
Nitro, do you agree with that assessment?
Oh, definitely. This card used to be deals 1, and yeah, that was yikes.
Yeah.
Also, I would like to note this art has been in the art sheet for a long time because it's cursed. Anything with this art doesn't get it. So.
Well, I mean, of course, because if it got in, it wouldn't be on the sheet anymore.
Oh yeah.
well, that's 100% lie. The art sheet's never updated. Come on, stranger.
Every now and again.
NitroMelon.
I'll do my job one day.
Oh yeah, he's actually one of the art sheet managers.
Yes, he is.
Shadow, what do you? Any closing notes?
So I talked about this before the show started, but I'm not sure if we need more of these draw card effects. I mean, this would totally take the place of my egolessness currently in my self-mill deck, because if I drop the Entertainer and can then guarantee to mill 3 cards every turn, it's pretty insane. So yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we need a Warlock hero power every turn. That's what I'm seeing this as.
Okie dokie then. Let's talk about Goblin Biology. By the way, Spike Bear, you knocked it out of the park with this art. This is one of my favorite arts you've ever done. Goblin Biology is a 2-drop neutral action from Perotis, and its flavored text is a link to something?
Yes, it sends you to, I think, the Perotis page.
What? Whatever. Anyway, scout a goblin that costs 3 or less. It permanently gains Entomb. Return this to your hand. So the goblins in Perotis are super, super immortal. They're just crazy immortal. They can't die. And this is based on that. So Empty, this is a scout effect. What do I want to come out of this?
The one that was like I saw brought up was Loudmouth. So you can like turn off Duelists and then play it over and over again.
Oh yeah, permanently shut down Duelists. That's good if it comes up. Goblins are pretty well supported. I don't really know what's at that slot other than Loudmouth.
There's like Greg and stuff.
Well, yeah, but that's like in the legacy pool, so I don't really know what specific reason why I'm running this. Empty,
People are talking about.
Well, I picked it because like I like the idea. I don't like that it's scout. Because the thing is, when you're running this, a lot of the time you're gonna want Loudmouth because it's really good with Loudmouth, and certain decks really struggle with Duelists. So having like endless Loudmouth is gonna be really nice for them. The problem is there's no reliable way to actually get your Loudmouth when you need it. I think if this let you like scout from the deck, I would like the design a lot more, because then you could plan around like, okay, what small goblins do I want to be running in order to make Goblin Biology work, instead of having to roll the dice and then often losing because you didn't get the one you needed.
I agree with that assessment. I think this is the wrong, if you're scouting for tech, this is the wrong way to do it. And if you're just scouting for flavor reasons, like, I don't know what you're up to. There's not enough tribal in this game to make scouting for a goblin super relevant.
Goblin tribal.
That's my favorite tribal in Magic, but this doesn't even go close to what it does. Goblin, there is no Goblin tribal in
Yeah.
Collective.
Shadow, you have anything else to say on this?
People also brought up Hate Spawn, but luckily we made it so when Hate Spawn kills something, at least it silences itself, so it would not just keep coming back. But it's still 2 mana grab a Hate Spawn. It's not the worst thing. I mean, do we even have 4 goblins? Like, is this one of those things where it's back to Swing Cook, where it always gave you everything bread? Not anymore, because we finally got food in the game. But
thanks to Zenker, largely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just don't know about this card. Nitro?
Nope, inconsistent. I like Empty's idea a lot. I think right now I can get you Loudmouth like a lot because I don't think we have like 4 goblins in rotation that cost 3 or less. But like, eventually, if we have enough goblins, the goblins are supported. That's gonna become inconsistent, and it's gonna be so yeah.
Okay, so I looked it up. There are 7 goblins in standard. That costs 3 or less. So it's basically a coin flip.
50-50, that'll get my duel. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, yeah, I just think this definitely needs to redesign because I don't know what specifically anyone would do. Even if it, this is supposed to reference like a flavor thing. Even if it just granted this bottom ability and gave it to a unit with 3 or less, that would be so much more interesting and versatile, and I would be asking all sorts of questions and theory crafting and doing all sorts of interesting stuff.
Yeah, I don't think Paradis is going around injecting people with goblin blood to make them immortal.
Why not?
That seems against their thought process. Malzy's kind of an emperor dude. Maybe he might do some weird stuff like that, but I don't know.
There is some interesting stuff you can do with the card if you can reliably get a certain goblin. The 2 that interest me the most are Kurt Squire and Bomb Lobber, because both of those have summon and Intune, so you could do some sort of loop with them to get a bunch of weapons or shuffle a bunch of bombs in your opponent's deck.
Yeah. So I like maybe we just need more scout from deck effects. I don't know.
Okay, Black Rift.
That would not actually qualify as Black Rift because it's not non-native at that point. It would be similar to my door submissions if there's any of you who remember those from a long, long time ago. Wax Lofter is a 2-drop strength 1/1 wax elemental from Lux with flying, rebound, and summon given allied unit rebound. Wow, fun, exciting. Empty, you picked this?
Yeah.
Is this too powerful?
I don't really think so.
It's push.
It gives you a lot of value, but it's very slow.
Because, this basically gives you 3 cards out of it. Well, 2 cards. And it gives you a 1/1 flyer. And this is really, really cool. I like this design a lot. So you can't think of any super broken shenanigans this enables?
No, well, I think part of the reason that at least I think this is fairly balanced is that right now the Lux decks are sort of tied in with equipment, and this isn't all that great in an equipment deck because usually the base units without any equipment that you're going to be getting back with the rebound aren't that great, and so I don't think it'll be too powerful, but I like taking this sort of Lux deck in a different direction, where it's this sort of value-oriented game plan and with units that have summons.
Yeah, so this kind of makes Lux work with another light-based world, Sweet Outlaw, and you can kind of deal stuff with allied unit targeting effects and stuff like that. And that could potentially be really, really fun. I agree. Nitro, what do you think of this?
Get the Lux package. Forget all of that. Forget Lightnings. Put this in flying deck in mind, and then just go to town with your Aeon Drifters and your Sky Totems, and oh man, this card would be much better there than in the whole Lux thingy.
That's an interesting thought. I like that. Give Aram Drifter a rebound again. Shadow, what do you think?
Two of these can just kind of loop. So based on that, this would be an uncommon, but we base rarity based on word. So
Yep.
Okay.
You text crunch.
Okay. Pete the Hare. So this is Shadowknight being horrible and doing a bunch of self-plugs.
Hey, I only did one. Nitro did self-plug also later, so.
Okay. It's all right. Y'all are guests. Y'all are welcome on this show.
I was going to do more, but this was my favorite of the Carachar cards.
Pete the Hare version 4? 5?
We've had a lot, yes.
Pete the Hare is a 3-drop Spirit 2/2 Toon Rabbit from Carachar with summon, create a TNT carrot, and your food are also equipment that have give a unit +1/+1. A TNT carrot deals 2 damage, and fed units get +1/+1. So with all this said, by the way, just so y'all are clear, once you play that TNT carrot with Pete out, it deals 2 damage, gives a unit of yours +1/+1. You'll have a separate choose window, and fed units get +1/+1. So this that carrot, once it comes out, is really, really strong. But of course, you got to make sure everything else survives to that point, which it probably will. It's doing it 9, so it's not even doing all that bad. So do you want to talk about some of your process creating the card, kind of what was going through your mind?
So this was a big top-down design where we started with the artwork. But Sauce keeps giving us, has given us a lot of good artwork that we still need to finish using up. And I like designing in that way from artwork. It's a lot of fun in my opinion. So we had this buff rabbit guy who has a shovel and has clearly some grenades and stuff attached to carrots. So and then we also had this artwork of these carrots that Sauce also did. So we tried a lot of different things. I can't remember what my design was. I think it was he just like kept coming back. I'll have to look back at my what I initially did. It was an agile, like just I had a more Punisher lone survivor type thing where if he's like the only thing you had, it was about working alone. But we went away from that to more of this. And with Carachar now having a kind of a side thing of food kind of being that we have canned spinach, we got Sweet Dragon, we got Broccoli Knight. So we kind of have this side thing of food. It's nice to have another food, and this kind of works with this. You can play this both with your canned spinach and your Broccoli Knight. That's always fun.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting, and it gives Spirit Equipment something. I know people have been talking about maybe giving some sort of position to a Spirit Equipment deck, and this progresses that. And so I'm interested in this version, definitely, and I do like how it feels very goofy, feels very Carachar in terms of making food into equipment. Empty, what do you think about this?
This is a really strange design. I really like the turning food into equipment thing. It turns the TNT carrot into like this action that basically does everything. You're like dealing damage, you're getting a feed effect, you're getting stuff +1/+1. I also like that it's like giving the food deck some interaction with the board, which is something that sort of sorely lacked before. It was basically relied completely on Cam's strength buff in order to like remove anything. Yeah, I think it's a neat design.
Nitro, what do you think?
Very fun design. Yeah, I like this card a lot, and I've been saying that for a lot of these cards, honestly. But they're all really good, and this fits mid-range food very well. And I feel like food could use some more units, since this also has at least a decent body for food and whatever, but also equipment, Spirit Equipment with all of that. So yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah, and also just the whole when you draw food in the late game, you just feel really sad. This kind of mitigates that a little bit by at least you get a
Yeah.
+1/+1 bonus you can give to your guys, which might be enough to just push through that lethal.
Yeah. Okay. The Elusive Squid is a 2-drop mine 3/1 fish from nowhere in particular with Agile. And at the end of the turn, if in hand or in play, shuffle this into your deck and draw a card. Okay, I gotta say, this is one of Tahazar's weirder designs. Shadow, why did you pick it?
So Magic the Gathering, which I'll reference a lot because I played it. It's one of the main collective card games I play. Has cards like this where it's just an aggressive unit that has something else tacked on. Sometimes it's overrun. There's a version of this that's a 5-drop. That's a 7/7 overrun in Magic, where after it attacks, it then shuffles back after the combat phase. So kind of in that regard. Also, this is kind of just a, hey, I don't really need this in the late game, so get me a new card, which is fine. But if I have this on turn 2, it's cool also. I get to get in for that 3 damage that I need to do, and then it goes away and replaces itself, which is cool. So I think it does what aggro kind of needs. And it's a fish, which is very important. I forgot that part.
Yeah, for the drawing effects and drawing a fish, and that fish likes having more draws. So I can see definitely fish needing to like cycle stuff like that. I just think it's not very well protected, and because it also works in your out of your hand, like a lot of this does is just fiddles with cards. It doesn't do a lot of actual substantive stuff, I feel. MT, do you think I got the wrong read on this?
I mean, I think you have the right idea. I think with this card, most of the time, you don't really play it. You just let it sit in your hand, and then it cycles you into something else. I actually love this design, though. I think this is awesome. Because it's this card where, like, most of the time, you're not going to play it. But when you need that 3/1 Agile to go in for more damage, then you can play it and go in. And the fish synergy is really nice. Like getting that extra draw so you can go into your fish triggers earlier is going to be very helpful for the deck. I think it's a great card.
Okay. Nitro, what do you think?
This card reminded me of like an old card, Relentless Amoeba, where it was like a 3/2, 3/1 overrun that would like Entomb shuffle itself back into the deck. I think it serves. Well, this is mostly a 2-mana deal 3 damage that also draws a card. So I think it at least fills a similar niche in that you go and makes do damage, and then if it dies, it goes back into the deck. But yeah, I think this card's really cool, and with the fish tribe, like you guys said, it's really important for it to have fish, so you can get your fish triggers off, especially in Legacy where there's a lot more fish, like the Prince of Corals, which can scale and whatnot. So yeah, fun card.
Yeah.
It's a great just Dragon Whelp if you drop that turn 2 and this shuffles and actually draws you into a fish, because Dragon Whelp usually will just die immediately. The fact that there's a chance that you'll just get a trigger off of it by having this in your deck is good.
Yeah. Now, one I am very excited to talk about is Hack Slash and Shear. This is going to be a bit, so prepare yourselves. Hack Slash and Shear is a 1-drop mind action from nowhere in particular with choose to activate Hack, Slash, or Shear as many times as you want while paying their cost. The Hack mode deals 2 damage to a unit. The Slash mode deals 1 damage to a unit and adjacent units. And the Shear mode deals 1 damage to all units damaged by Hack or Slash this turn. So, when all is said and done, this is a very, very, potentially very costly removal spell, very versatile damage-based removal for mine in particular. One notable thing about this is that you can call the Slash and Shear mode and do some shenanigans to do a lot of really fun stuff with rage triggers. Beyond this, I just feel like this is too expensive, but maybe it's just the best option for what it does. Shadow, why did you pick this card? Do you agree with me?
I don't think it's actually too expensive. I think it falls into. I mean, the front part is too expensive. So if you just play it like 2 mana, deal 2 damage, yeah, then you're not very happy. But once you start getting to 3 mana, like 3 mana, deal 2 damage to 2 things is pretty nice. And also just this can be a board wipe in the late game, which is great. And it's just the versatility is what is nice. I also wonder if I can choose the times as 0. So if this can just be a 1 mana action for action spam or to trigger something if I just need to right there and then.
Yeah, I believe you can.
Okay, so that's also just adds to the versatility.
So I don't know. I guess I'd really have to see this thing played to know how I feel about it. I do love the concept, and I think it's a very interesting idea from Apra and Mystic, who, for those of you who don't know, they love annoying blocking challenges like this and making cards that are like push the limits of what you can do with the engine. And I do feel that that at least concept-wise is very good. I'm just a little bit worried about the cost of being able to do anything really efficient with it. Nitro, what do you think?
This card is very confusing to me. Like,
The complexity is another thing, yeah.
Yeah, especially for a new player, they're gonna be like, something around those lines. Because, man, this card can. While it has a lot of versatility, it also requires a lot of skill to manage what you want. Like, do you want to do slash and then just shear a bunch, or do you want to like do hack a bunch of times because it can be more efficient or something? It just my plant's brain doesn't like to compute this very well.
Yeah, so if you're staring down like 7 mana, there's like more than 10 different ways to use this card. And like figuring out which one of those makes sense, which one of those are
more than 10. There's way more than that.
Well, more than, and numbers higher.
You're the math man. Come on,
more than 10,
stuff.
Shadow.
True. Technically, you are not wrong, Stranger.
And I have less than $1 million in my bank account.
All true statements today.
Empty, go.
I don't know what you guys are going on about. This card looks insane to me. Okay, so the thing is, you can play any of these modes as many times as you want. That's what I'm assuming what this text means.
As you can afford.
Why would you ever play slash or shear when you could just play hack over and over again? Because it costs 1.
Because, well, yeah, I guess that is. Slash does 3 damage though. So
yeah,
if
but
they
it's
have
2.
Well, if they have 3/1/1 and you have 3 mana, hack then technically slash wipes their board and hack only kills 2 of their dudes.
In that very specific scenario, yeah, slash is better. But the thing is, slash plus shear does 6 damage for 4 mana, whereas with just playing hack over and over again, you'll deal more damage. You'll deal 8 instead.
Yeah.
And
I think that's kind of an oversight, definitely, now that you're saying it out loud.
But we also bring up Stranger's point where you decide to use this on your own dudes, and you slash your 3 rage dudes, and you get like this crazy like effect to happen, or you slash and shear all your rage dudes, and you get this crazy effect, and then they don't die because you're only dealing 1 damage. So
yeah,
once again,
well, you're dealing it as 1 damage twice versus 2 damage once.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely think this has an interesting place in a rage deck in particular. But yeah, the skill level required to use this card effectively is it's kind of up there, and
I don't think it's that high. I think most of the time you're just gonna play this and hack your opponent's board to pieces. It's so efficient. Being able to play 1 mana, deal 2 damage as many times as you want in a turn for 1 mana, that's amazing. Like at 5 mana, dealing 8 split however you want between their board is really good. Like any aggro deck, you're just gonna wipe them out. And you lost 1 card. Like 3 mana, deal 2 damage to 2 units. It used to be a card all on its own. And this is so much better than that. and it just scales so well late game. Like at 8 mana, you're dealing 14 damage divided however you want on their board.
Yeah. So do you think hack bump to 2 would balance it back out?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And I feel it almost gets to unplayable though, which is kind of.
Nah. I do agree with what he said.
Maybe you could do hack at 2 and then make the card itself cost 0.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be good. Well, I mean, just think about it. This is strictly better than Absolute Fire for units. The thing that spend all your mana and deal as much damage, this deals twice as much.
Yeah, true.
Absolute Fire is has never been like all that good, but this is
so much better.
When it was unmatched, it was amazing, but yeah.
Yeah. So now we're going to talk about Nitro's self-plug and another 3-token card that I have to move the thing for. Melon, the Windy Apprentice, is a 3-drop Spirit 4/2 Elemental Arcanist plant from Seal of Elementary. This would be our rare. Whenever you play an action, this takes a breath, summon, trigger all breath effects, and current breath is 0. This is a good action spam card. The 4 breath, if you get 4 or more breaths, you get to draw a card. If you get 8 or more, give all elementals in your deck +1/+1. And with 12 or more, you get to shuffle a melon into your deck for each breath. This feels very interesting and all over the place. So clarify, Nitro, replication would happen after power, right?
Yes, supposedly.
So you're not actually going to get the elemental bonus onto your newly minted melons. And I feel like, okay, so if you're really saying going for this reward here, that's at 12 actions played after this. And then all that does is cycle you back around to the start. I don't know how to feel about this. Tell me something about your process that can help us understand how you want to use this card more effectively.
Oh crap! Did I submit the wrong one? There was supposed to be there was supposed to be a 6 breath trigger that would go on the original melons. I might need to actually repost the card. But other than that, I had a huge cram session with Ta and Cannibals about because the original version was very different. It was disgusting, but eventually we landed onto this where it would increase your elementals, which you're obviously running something like Wind Color Spire for not Wind Color Spire, Wind Culling.
No, there's Spire.
Well, yeah, you could use Spire too.
I mean, he just got buffed. He's now a 3-drop. So.
That's not Spire though. What was it?
The Whistle? Was it the one that draws you the cards?
Not Whistle. God damn it. What's the elemental? Man, my mind's blanking right now. Stupid. Wind Whisper. Yeah, that one. So you could use this to buff your Wind Whisperers, and then use Whistle to get stuff. And basically, I just kind of wanted a scaling-ish effect where eventually you would just play all of, or you would just play all of these, and you would have this like big board of melon units that draws you a card in cycles. I'm not sure how that works in practice. It may be just build tech against in KM, because surprisingly you deck out very easily in KM, and this would help you with that. But I don't know. It seems at least decent somewhere.
I just feel like, so does that first ability work in all zones?
Yes, it works. It works in all zones.
Yeah, I think that needs a point of clarification, because I was not I thought it was from hand, and I was like, what?
Well, then this would just be garbage.
Yeah, but
Because the summon effect would always do nothing.
well, no, it would just gain a breath in hand for each action you play, and if you played 4 actions while that was in hand. Okay, so now that I understand that, it still just gives you. You have to get 12 actions to get this to do its big thing, and then is 4 enough? I don't know. Empty, what do you think?
I don't really know. I feel like this only fits in action spam where it's off affinity, and you don't really want to play this in action spam for 4 mana.
Yeah.
Especially since that deck doesn't really run very many elementals to take advantage of Breath of Power.
Yeah, that was the other thought. Was you need to be running both tribal elemental and action spam, and nah?
The other problem is that like there is some potential to run like a wind calling whistle deck with this. The problem there is that like wind calling whistle has like some really good targets that you want to hit, like Wind Whisperer, so that you can like combo off. And this is an elemental, and you don't want it like really clogging up your wind calling whistles. Maybe you could run like one of this, as Nitro said, as sort of like mill tech. Because after you get milled out, you can like get 12 more cards.
Shadow, what do you think?
So I'm just thinking of, even with 4 actions, it's still not a bad card. A 4/2 for 3 that draws you a card is passable.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Oh, also, yeah, I had a question for Nitro about how this is blocked. When you say trigger all breath effects, am I playing these cards? So do I end up with a Breath of Evokement, Breath of Power, Breath of Replication in my graveyard, or no?
No, you just essentially just trigger all the effects.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was just wanted to clarify. Okay. But how I'm seeing this is turn 3 you play Spire, and then turn 4 you play your 0 mana card. You get your 1 mana. You play your 1 mana. You play your 2 mana, which is the refresh 4 mana card. Then you play another card. So you already got 4 on turn 3, and then you can play Melon. Like, so I mean, on turn 4 you can drop this and already like play out a good portion of your deck if you want to do that, and this just replaces itself. So I mean, that's a fine. And you might also have played enough actions that you most likely have played enough actions that you play a free whistle, and then you also can get 3 more of these and then just go off again on the next turn, and then you'll be at 8 actions at that point.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems interesting. It just seems a little complicated. And I don't feel like the end rewards are really worth all the effort that goes into them.
We forgot to mention the amazing Shadowknight art, but no, it's terrible.
Gotta disclose all your personal interest. And does that make sense, Nitro?
I see. I see. I might as well go into another cram session with Todd Cannibals to see what we can do.
I think that's the breath of replication part. I'm not getting enough for that 12 actions. Like,
yeah,
like I'm shuffling in new melons that have no breath. They haven't taken any breath, so they're bad melons.
Man, that's what I was gonna clarify. I submitted the wrong card. They were supposed to gain 6 breaths.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That makes a little bit more sense. Junkyard Dutchess is a 4-drop spirit 3/3 demon from Walnut. It is a rare. Whenever you play an equipment, scout an equipment, and whenever this enters the graveyard, return an equipment from there to hand. So it's interesting. This is progressing the spirit equipment archetype that we talked about earlier. This was kind of like struggling to find like a realm home, and then people just said, "Oh, the background looks kind of Walnut-y," and went with that. So it's interesting because this is like a flavorful submission into what was like more of a mechanically based realm before that. Which is fun. I love flavor realms. What do we think of the actual design? I've heard this is really, really powerful.
So I've heard from Wapka, from testing, that I don't know if they thought it was too strong. I think it worked out that it was in a good place. I mean, at least they tested the card. I like when people do that.
Yeah.
But And the thing is, it's in off affinity of the equipment package, so that also makes just weird.
It's weird, yeah.
We have what, like 2, 3 spirit equipments?
And one of them's like Soul Capture Cam.
Yep, we have Soul Capture Cam, Bane of the Haunted, which
Fake
people keep
Fangs.
wanting to buff. And Bow, Huntsman Bow. So those are the 3 I can think of off the top of my head. There might be a few more, but
yeah. And so this is interesting. I feel like honestly, if you still get 4 and you're still paying off affinity penalties, you're gonna find something you like. And this is just a really good way to keep the engine going. Empty, what do you think of this?
Yeah, I mean, it's a serious mana sink. There are some like interesting things you can do with the other trigger, because like if you're running this in like a mill or a discard package, it triggers from anywhere, so you can like get stuff back for free.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a serious threat when your opponent drops this, because they just get so much value by playing equipment and generating more. Definitely the biggest thing for this is the off affinity penalty. I know on the sub there's like a reprint for I think it's Ice Shard Dagger from the core set. That would be really strong with this, because there's really not that many equipment in Spirit, like you said, and then some of them like Bane of the Haunted are pretty costly, which isn't really what you want to be going for with this. You want like cheap equipment.
Yeah, this is like flipped, except it has the potential to get way more out of hand because of the choice of tribe and the choice of trigger. So it could be really, really fun. I don't know. I'm eager to see more spirit equipment. I want to actually see at least some equipment in all affinities. And so I'm all for this. Nitro, what do you think?
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, it's a very big mana sink, and that's like if you can, like, sure, it becomes a threat eventually, but it has to get there first. And with the spirit equipment we have, I'm not totally sure if it scales hard enough that it gets there, or if it's unfair enough to compete with the other equipment deck,
Do we have any 0 mana equipment currently or no?
I don't know, because that would be very powerful, but
I mean, it could be just like a +1/+0. Okay, new card I'm submitting this week. 0 mana equipment +1/+0.
So yeah, we'll see where this goes.
I could see that same play.
So the Flytrap Lancer is a 4-drop spirit 3/3 Daling from Swiatlo with Overrun, Regenerate, and when this attacks, you can stop an enemy unit's attack. It becomes this card's only blocker. So this is fun. This card, my biggest issue with it was that it was confusing, but I have a feeling this is potentially really powerful. Nitro, why'd you pick this card?
I picked this card to compare it against like the whole mine stopping units from attacking from Yamato, especially overrunning Oni. I'm not sure like it I think it would actually fit better over there in that sort of mid-rangey package instead of like Spirit, because while sure it has like overrun and stuff, I'm not sure what you do in Spirit that would take advantage of the whole blocker, of the whole the stops and gains a blocker,
What is interesting about this is against like Swarm and stuff, you can intercept their attacks by having this attack, and it has Regenerate. So if your opponent's not playing with a bunch of big stuff, this is better than, but is that much better than it actually just blocking it itself? And that's kind of the weird call, and that's where I think it's like fake complexity, honestly.
I mean, you get some damage in this way, so
Yeah, you get a little bit, 1 or 2 damage in.
mhm.
Oh, extra point. This actually was the old blocking system where the attacker would choose to block something. It gave aggressive decks more of a lead, but this seems a little bit too expensive for those type of decks. So I'm not sure how relevant it is.
MP, what do you think?
Yeah, it's really weird because the like the benefit you gain from actually attacking with this and using its effect is like very minimal compared to just blocking.
Yeah.
Because yeah, like you said, the only thing you're getting basically is the overrun damage. And this is not an aggressive card. So most of the time in the deck that runs this, you're not going to care that much about that damage. Yeah, it's strange. I mean, a base level like a 4-mana 3/5 with regenerate is pretty good. That's like better than Kudzu.
Yeah. Shadow, any final thoughts?
So no, it's not a plant. Yeah, this is from Sawatlo. For some reason, I want this to be a plant. So all the Sawatlo people are plant fusion things. They should have plants, but okay. So yeah, I kind of want this for plant synergies, but sadly it's not a plant, so we don't get any plant synergies. If you can get its HP high enough, then you can get to interesting things. And also this helps against things like if they're attacking with their alien mastermind or things like that, where you use this as kind of a last ditch effort situation where you're like, oh, dang, they have this flyer that's going to deal me lethal. I guess I'll attack with this, and then I get to stop their lethal attack, but only for this one turn. So this kind of last ditch effort save you situation.
You know what's funny about this? This is a really good target for Bane of the Haunted.
Yeah. I guess this...
I mean, this might just be the best target for that card, or just one of them. Because you can intercept attackers and do all this other fun stuff, and yeah.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, this does have like some other applications, because this can block like flyers and also unblockable units.
Yeah. It gives it the tool to deal with evasion, which it normally doesn't really have.
The problem is if like you're attacking with this every turn and your opponent calls your bluff and just doesn't attack with anything, then they get to block this normally and kill it.
Yeah,
that's the weird, annoying part. So I don't know. It's interesting for sure, but it's definitely a little complex. So I'm going to stop the share. I hope y'all had a great time today. I know I certainly did. I would like to thank Empty, as always, for being my loyal and faithful and true panelist. And I would like to thank Shadowknight and Nitro for being on the show today. I hope you guys had fun.
Yeah, lots of good cards this week.
Mm-hmm. Starting next week, guys, we should have Grief back. So there's that.
Ooh.
And so we'll be going back to our regular system of having a single guest. We actually do have a couple other stuff lined up. And keep your eye on the Discord. We're talking about potentially getting another dev interview going for season 3. So like, comment, and subscribe. Remind me why I'm doing this. And keep playing collective and keep voting. Bye.
Later.